It's the purest part of your soul because it's your soul tells you what you are interested in. And what you're interested in is what you want to actually spend time doing. Hello, dear friends, and welcome back to the Strong Stoic Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Tumblin. Do you have an inner nerd? Are you a nerd? And just to be clear, I don't mean this in a derogatory sense. I'm not making fun of you. I'm not picking on you. In fact, I'll explain what I mean throughout the episode. But what are your first thoughts to that question? Are you a nerd? Record that. Well, don't record it, but take note. What's your first impressions? What's your first thoughts on that? And let's go back in time to your childhood. What did you like to do? Who did you want to be? You likely have some memories of running in the grass, playing with your friends in the playground, swinging, perhaps coloring, drawing. In fact, when we're young, we really do everything, don't we? And what I mean by that is pretty much everything that crosses our minds we do. Pick up that rock. Run fast to the swing set. Pretend you're a fire truck. Skip the rock. We're so thrilled and we're so excited about life because there are seemingly no restraints. It seems like we can just do everything, and we're experiencing the ability to run around. We're experiencing the ability to move our arms and new things like swing sets and colors and emotions. And there's so much going on when we're kids, and we're so thrilled and we're so excited about life in general because we're in an exploratory phase. Now, fast forward to when you're about to retire. For this, picture those around you who are retiring now. I'm sure maybe you are retiring right now, maybe not. But in any case, have a look at the people around you that are about to retire. They're in that age range. Most have worked the same job for years. Most are probably boring. Not all. You meet some really cool, older people that's about to retire. But a lot of them are not in office environments and really any environments. In fact, a lot of people become depressed when they're about to retire, right? I'm sure you've heard this. I mean, there's even some couples that retire and then they realize that they hate each other and then they get divorced shortly after they retire because they now have to actually spend time together. But a lot of people, when they retire, they've worked the same job for years. They don't have a whole lot of piss of vinegar left into them. And they're on the verge of depression after they retire. Now, why? Why is this? And really, it's because work has become their life, right? Work became their life over the last 30, 40, 50 years. They had no other hobbies. They had no other pastimes. They had no other activities that they did after work. They likely have a bumpy relationship with their family and their children. So what happened between point A and B? What happened between being a child? Because we're all like that when we're children. This isn't a unique experience. When we're a child, we're so exploratory and we're so excited and thrilled about life and about the little things. And then a lot of us, a large percentage of us, end up retiring and we're just kind of dull. We're kind of just boring people. And it happens all the time. I mean, certainly if you have a quick look around the people that I'm sure you'll know that to be true. And every now and then you'll meet someone that is just, a kid at heart, which is very interesting. But more on that later. What happened? What happened between being a child and excited about life to being a boring person that's basically about to retire and you have no thrill about life whatsoever? Well, life happened, right? We grow up and we realize that we have responsibilities. I mean, there's bills to be paid. There's garbage bags to be taken out. A large number of us are working jobs that are just killing us as well, at the end of the day. So we have these personal life responsibilities such as doing the dishes, taking out the garbage. And we also have jobs that are slowly just killing us because they're killing our soul. We don't like it. We might be sitting in a cubicle. We might be staring at the clock, waiting for a coffee break, waiting for a piss break. And then lunch comes and then we're happy about lunch. And then we go home and then we have the evening to watch TV. And we're so drained from our boring job that we just watch TV and we have no enthusiasm to do anything else. And then we go to bed and we wake up the next day and we do it all over again. Our boss is breathing down our neck because we're not passionate about our jobs. You're thinking to yourself, how the hell can I be passionate about this job? And you realize that neither is he or she, neither is your boss passionate about the job. They're just driven by the money, and they're driven by their quotas, and they're driven by their performance markers. But what do? Well, you have kids because, you gotta have kids. So now you have kids to feed, and now you have all these responsibilities. And you can't just take a risk, right? You can't just take a risk. What are you going to do? Quit your job and go off and do something crazy? No, you stay in this job for 30 years. And through that time, what happens? What happens over the course of 30 years? Well, you let go of every single hobby you loved. You haven't picked up the guitar in years. You couldn't dribble a basketball to save your life, even though you were in the top 3 in your high school. And now you're at a place where the very thought of not going back to work, the very place that sucked your soul out of your body, is even more scary than actually going back to work. So you're at a point where work sucks. But you know what sucks more? What's the alternative? Staying home and having to deal with the depression that's going to set in. And why? Well, because if you go back to the office, what happens is, at least you have something to do. At least you have something to wake up for in the morning. You get up, you go to the office, and it's like you spend 8 hours there, 10 hours, and it's like, okay, well, I've done something. Well, have you? I don't know. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. At least you don't have to face the fact that you gave up on everything you ever loved in life for this deeply unrewarding job. I mean, that's the alternative, right? If you stay home, what do you have to do? Well, basically, you have to deal with that fact. The fact that, well, you gave up on life in some form or another. Now, many people love their jobs. Their office jobs specifically. I mean, I'm not talking to you because many people actually enjoy going to the office and they have very rewarding lives. Perhaps you're a lawyer. Perhaps you're a business student. Perhaps you're an entrepreneur and you're really passionate about your job. Of course, there are people out there that love doing that type of work. But a lot of people don't. And that's the facts. A lot of people don't. And it doesn't take long for you to find people if you actually start looking and see, okay, well, actually, yeah, there's quite a few people out there that are going to their office jobs and they don't like it. They hate it. But some people do. So I'm not talking to you. If you love your job in the office, keep going, man. It's all you. But have you ever met an adult that is like a kid? It's like a child. Not that they're immature, not that they're childish per se. No, they laugh and they play like kids, like children, and they talk about things they love, like kind of like a child would. They talk about things that they love and they like, and they're playful and they're laughing all the time about small things. And my dentist the other day started talking about flossing. This is an interesting story. I was getting my teeth cleaned the other day, and my dentist was talking about flossing and how she works very hard to get her teeth clean. And she was telling me all the details, and she got really absorbed into it, right? She's talking about flossing. For most people, it's like flossing. What's so interesting about flossing? But for her, it was like, I get the floss in there, and I do it every day, and I really focus on trying to get all the grime out. And she's like, she's really absorbed into this, and she's kind of giggling, and she's really into it. And and it wasn't in a serious tone. She wasn't like describing how to floss. I was like, no, she was like giggling and laughing while she told me, and guess what? I was giggling too. I was laughing too. And not because it was funny, not because what she was saying was funny, but because she was like a little kid. She was like a little child, and she's so absorbed into this. And really what she was doing is she was being kind of nerdy, right? Like let's face it. Let's call it what it is. She was being kind of nerdy. Now, what about someone who is really into Star Wars or Lord of the Rings? You meet these people, right? I mean, I'm kind of one of those people. And they say some nerdy Yoda quote with a Yoda voice, or they make the Darth Vader's breathing noise. They do these little nerdy things, and doesn't it just make you want to laugh? Like, isn't it kind of funny? Like, you get these people that are just so nerdy and so into this thing, and the only real response to that is to kind of laugh at it because it's funny, and they're being like little kids, and you feel like a kid, which is why you want to laugh at it and giggle about it, because when you see sort of childish behavior, not in a bad way, childish behavior, but kind of like in a playful way, it makes you laugh and it makes you giggle and it makes you feel good. That's great. But they're being nerdy, right? They're being nerdy after all. Now, why does it make you laugh? Why does it make you giggle? And again, not in a malicious way, in a playful way. Why does it make you laugh? Well, it's because you're seeing something that's truly genuine and playful. That's why. As before, you're seeing their inner child. You're seeing their inner nerd. But really what an inner nerd is your inner child. Again, when you're a child, you're so enthusiastic about all these things in life and the new things you're experiencing. And guess what? We lose that as we age. We lose that as we get older. But every now and then, something comes out. You see these people and they're really nerdy. They're really into something. And, you might catch yourself doing it. You might catch yourself being a little nerdy and really getting passionate and giggling about something that's kind of small and might seem meaningless. But and then maybe you're a little bit embarrassed about it because you're like, oh, wow, I'm being a little nerdy. But guess what? The only response to seeing someone kind of geek out on something is to laugh and feel happy about it. Now in high school, you get teased for stuff like that, right? You get teased for doing the Darth Vader noises and quoting Yoda. Of course you'd get teased about things like that. But guess what? If you're an adult, we're not in high school anymore, okay? Doesn't matter anymore. You don't have to be cool. You don't have a reputation to uphold or maintain. And so you can actually be a little bit of a nerd if you want to. And so, the point I'm trying to make here is that when you see people and they're sort of nerding out on something, again, Star Wars is a great example, but it can literally be anything. It can be on cars. It can be on their job. Hopefully they're passionate enough about their job that they want to do that. But it can be literally about anything. When you see people and they get so absorbed into something that they're telling you about it, and they literally remind you like a little child. That's because they are sort of being like a little child. They're embracing their inner child. They're feeling that enthusiasm that we all feel when we're young. And again, that we tend to lose throughout time. And how do we lose that? Because I talked about people retiring. And again, how do we get from point A to point B? And again, how we lose it is through really doing things that we don't want to do and being embarrassed about being a bit of a nerd, being embarrassed about liking things like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and trying to be cool, trying to maintain our image as opposed to following what our interests actually are. And that's how we kill that part of ourselves. And really, you can think of that part of ourselves as the soul, right? Really, that's what it is. It's a part of your soul. It's the purest part of your soul because your soul tells you what you are interested in. And what you're interested in is what you want to actually spend time doing. And again, I get it. Life is tough. There's responsibilities. There's things we have to do in life that we don't want to do. There's always going to be those things. However, you have to make an effort to keep that little child alive inside of you that's excited about life, that's enthusiastic about anything. Again, it's not complicated. Whatever draws your attention, whatever you're interested in, that's the very thing that you need to follow. So my message today is to embrace your inner nerd. Listen, whatever you nerd out about, embrace it, man. I don't care what it is. And you shouldn't care what anyone else thinks about it either. This is about you. Go all in. Don't be afraid to do something nerdy because people are going to laugh at you. Guess what? They're probably laughing because it's great to see such behavior. I mean, think about the times that you've seen someone do something nerdy. It kind of makes you giggle. It kind of makes you laugh. You're not being mean about it. You're probably just being like, okay, that's kind of funny because, they're really into this thing. It's good. It's great. And if they are laughing and if they are making fun of you, if they're teasing you, guess what? Fuck them. Who cares? Seriously, who cares? We're not in high school anymore. If we're adults, we can do whatever the hell we want to do. And if that means geeking out about something such as Star Wars, such as flossing, right? It's kind of funny, isn't it? Guess what? Embrace it. Don't let them destroy your inner child. Don't let the world destroy that little part of you that's so enthusiastic about something. Keep it as long as you can. Keep it, hopefully, for the rest of your life until you die. And that's the meaning behind this quote from Ashley Montagu. The idea is to die young, as late as possible. That's what's meant by that. Keep your enthusiasm. Keep the things you're passionate about. Chase things that you want. Chase things that you like, that interest you. Nerd out, geek out. Do what you got to do, man. People are going to laugh at you. Most of the time, it's not going to be mean. Most of the time, it's going to be, just because it's fun. It's fun to see. It's cool to see that stuff. Screw them all. Who cares? Even if they're making fun of you, who gives a shit? Do it. Don't let your inner child die because so many people do that. And you know what? It doesn't look good. It's not a good look for you. And the worst part, doesn't look good, but it also doesn't feel good being that person. It doesn't feel good to have no enthusiasm about life, about anything. Keep it. The idea is to die young, as late as possible. And so, thank you very much for listening. I hope it was a meaningful episode for you. If you can do one thing for me, share this episode with a friend, someone who would find it useful. You can also check me out on YouTube at the Strong Stoic Podcast and the Strong Stoic Podcast clips. Hit subscribe. That would help me out a lot, even if you don't want to watch me. I don't want to watch me either. I get it. Also on Instagram at the Strong Stoic. A lot of great discussion on there. A lot of great comments. I love to see it. If you're one of those people, thank you very much. If you're not, go comment. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks again. Cheers. Until next time.